Presented by AfterBuzz TV and hosted by Hall of Fame superstar Sean X-Pac Waltman, this is X-Pac 12360. And now your host, WWE Hall of Fame superstar Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Hey everybody, welcome to X-Pac 12360. Welcome to X-Pac 12360.
This is the ASMR episode.
You're fucking it up, Ty. God damn it.
We just need something now to tap.
You too. Stop. Welcome to X-Pac 12360. Today we're going to talk about, I don't know what the fuck we're going to talk about actually. Denise, what are we going to talk about? All right. That was my, well, of course Ty spoiled it for everybody. God damn. It's my ASMR, MSIAMPR.
It was very unexpected. I don't think we knew what to expect. We just started hearing it. I was like, okay, we're going to go roll with this. But what I was going to say was that you needed the little tapping thing now if you really want to do some ASMR.
Exactly. Special edition for the listeners.
All right, but let's go
Yin Yang Twins were fucking doing AMSIASPMR way back in
With the
the
whisper
day.
song? Absolutely.
Wait till you see my dick. Right?
It's a good song, absolutely. You know.
All right. Hey, Denise, what's
Okay.
going on?
All right, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and start off the news, but it's not really easy to talk about this one, so we're just going to go ahead and just jump right into it. So on Thursday, Harley Race passed away at the age of 76 years old. He was battling lung cancer, and essentially last month he was hospitalized while traveling to Knoxville Fanboy Expo, and we found out the news on Thursday. And one of the I don't know exactly, not one of the cool things, but one of the things that did happen was that WWE did pay for the medical flight transfer for him from Atlanta to St. Louis for him to be closer to his family because that's where his family wanted him. So essentially it bought him some extra time to sort of have that closure with his family.
Hey, so as far as that goes, I'm almost 99.99999% sure that wasn't WWE that did that. That was Vince McMahon personally. It's just like it's not really, as a company, as a corporate company,
out of
it's
his
a
own
little,
pocket.
yeah. That I will almost guarantee you that came out of his own pocket. And, I wouldn't even have you mention that on the show today, except for, people. We're always ready to criticize Vince McMahon, and plenty of shit to do that over the years, but for a lot of us, but especially Vince. Love you, Vince. Anyways, Vince does all kinds of shit like that. I mean, I have experiences in my life where he stepped up for me, and none of it is for a pat on the back. It's never anything that, you've never heard him say, well, I did this for this guy. It's not his style. And doing that kind of thing is. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I had always known was obviously is that Harley Race is not only very, very respected within the business, but Vince always respected Harley Race as well. So I think that's,
everybody does.
That's one of the things that I thought about when I heard this story about them paying for his medical transfer.
And so there was, I'm not going to get into it because, and I say this whenever somebody passes, if you want to really hear like a breakdown of their career and like all of that, like no one really does a better job than Dave Meltzer on that shit. So,
he did do a Wrestling Observer radio show on this, and I'm assuming obviously when the Observer comes out this week that he'll have a more biographical, I can't even say that anymore. Biographical, yeah, there you go. A more better explanation of his career and that stuff. But I was actually listening to that earlier today.
So when I was growing up, Ric Flair was my world champion, but Harley became the champion again. And then dropped it back to Rick at Starrcade in 1983, and that's so. I got to see Harley race one time, defend the world title against Dusty at the Bayfront Center in St. Pete, Florida, when I was a kid. And you just, when you heard Gordon Solie talk about Harley Race and wow, like he was this folk hero, even though he was like a villain. He was like this. It wasn't really like ever a straight up villain. This is just my memory of him, and there was just this respect for Harley Race, for the name Harley. Well, it's one of the coolest names ever, by the way. Like his mom, he was given that name. Like he didn't have to come up with it, right? Like, Dusty Rhodes is a really cool name too, but Dusty can't, his mama didn't give him that. So, you just saw Dusty and you hear everyone talk about him and hold him in such high regard. And just like I was saying, the way Gordon Solie would talk about him, and 7 times world champion, and the way he talked, and the sound of his voice and the cadence of the way he talked, and how much he loved being the world champion. Nate will tell you, like, he was the greatest world champion ever, and he was the last. That's nice of Nate, but honestly, like, Nate was right up there with him in that regard. Course. Like, Nate did all the traveling and had to go make all these people look good that really weren't very good.
Right.
And that was Harley's. That was Harley's deal too. And I heard Jim Cornette actually say something, because once when the news came, I just started going down like a Harley Race rabbit hole, and, looking at some things I hadn't seen in years or never seen, or like footage of stuff that I was there when I was a kid, but anyways, but Cornette had, like, it was interesting how he put it, because it's true. When a lot of the fans back at the time, they shortchanged Harley because he made the guy he was wrestling look like the greatest wrestler in the world. He was the greatest, but he made the other guy. So it was always like, how come he couldn't be, like, you always wondered sometimes, how come, yeah. That was the thing, what Jimmy said. All the stories I heard, because, so I'm friends with Kurt Hennig and Kurt's dad, Larry the Axe Hennig, and Harley were partners, and I also came up around Eddie Sharkey, and Eddie and Harley, they knew each other really well, and everyone just, they all say the same thing about him, just tough as nails, and he had the grip strength, there's a story one time of him bending somebody's ring. He like shook somebody's hand and bent their ring around their finger.
Shit.
I don't know. I wasn't around Harley. I was around him a couple of times here and there, and he was so cool. It was just really cool to be in, his presence. And also, like, one of my last memories of Harley is, I think we were in New Orleans. I think it was WrestleMania, New Orleans, last time I was there. Scott and I saw Harley, and Harley took a picture with us, and he was in a wheelchair. So we bent down to take a picture with him. He's like, "Oh, fuck that!" He goes, "No way." He got up out of the chair.
Right.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. I just. But the more people like Harley and different guys are, we're losing them, and I don't know. I'm getting old too. Pretty soon I'm going to be there. That's just the way it is. And I think about because I remember 20, 30 years ago wondering what it was going to be like to be here now. What was this going to be like? So it fucking goes quick, you guys. You know, I'll be there pretty soon. Like, it's way sooner than I want. So, and we all will. And I don't know. I hope when it's all done, like, I can say I lived this fucking cool life as Harley Race did.
Right.
You know? He loved to smoke cigarettes, he loved to drink beer, and he loved to drive fast. And he liked to do them all at the same fucking time.
Yeah, it's from the way that you talk about him and from the way that everyone talks about him, it definitely seems like there's this weight and there's this gravitas there.
Yeah.
It's like you said, he was like a folk legend,
Yes.
you know?
And he did things in the ring, like his work was it was different. He was a lefty. He was a left-handed guy. He was a southpaw. So he threw these lefts, and it's really odd looking to see, because most guys are obviously right-handed.
Right.
So you always see right-handed punches, and that's really odd when you see a left-handed guy throw a punch. And just also sometimes he would hit the ropes kind of weird, and it was so cool though. And Harley, he was a big dude, man, and he would manage to throw a leapfrog in there any chance he got. I mean, I put a tweet out like, Harley did a great leapfrog, and he fucking did, and like, it's never talked about, and it's not one of those things anybody would talk about,
right?
But it's one of the things I noticed. And he dropped a fucking amazing knee, and it was a left. Mm-hmm. He dropped the left knee on the guy's head. You know, and you never seen that. It was always somebody dropping their right knee. Amazing matches. Okay, so he went and he had a great match with Bob Backlund, title versus title in Madison Square Garden. They went like 30, 40 minutes. I mean, they started off at a hell of a pace. And Bob, as crazy as he was, like, he could be challenging for certain people. Like, if you couldn't wrestle, like, you're in trouble in there having a match with Bob. Like, because you got to kind of wrestle. Like, you actually have to wrestle when you work with Bob. But, yeah. Matches. Okay, he had a match in Japan. Well, tons of great matches in Japan. But one I'm thinking of is versus former AWA champion Jumbo Tsuruta. Mm-hmm. Look, great stuff with. I seen him have great matches with all the Von Erich, like Kevin Von Erich, David Von Erich, and Kerry Von Erich. I mean, there were more Von Erichs,
of course.
You know, they were the hot ones at the time. Barry Windham, just, you know, God. Hey,
do
Lou.
You want to talk about maybe how one of the things that I think was really cool when I was looking back at his career was the fact that when he was champion, and I know I had his peak here, during 1977 and 1981, he was a top professional wrestler, traveling world champion, going everywhere, all to the NWA territories. He was in North America, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Mexico. But this was during a time where if a promotion had you as a champion, you had to be a legitimate tough guy. You know,
because they'll take the belt off you. They've double crossed, kind of like the Montreal thing. Except for, I mean, that was, you know, if a guy gets you in a submission hold, like, you know, like, sometimes being a tough guy isn't even enough, because somebody just grab a hold on you and the ref go, oh, you gave up, ring the fucking bell.
Right.
You know, so yeah. But I never heard anyone. I heard a story that Flair told about him slapping Jumbo Tsuruta or something in the locker room, but like, I never heard of like Harley, like, I never heard anyone challenging him in the ring or anything along those lines. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't done. You know?
Right.
So.
And one of the interesting stories that I did also read was the part where he was kept away from Hulk Hogan until Vince could actually trust him not to, you know, go in there and beat him up or something like that, you know. And I thought that was really interesting because, you know, at that point, obviously, you know, you want to, you know, have Hogan as a draw and keep him as a draw. But I just thought, like, how interesting is that, you know?
I just watched that match last night. And, yeah. So that would have been the concern, and especially from Hulkster. Right? And then, so in classic Harley Race fashion. Like, you know, he could go out there and just eat his lunch if he wanted to. If you go back and watch the King Harley Race versus Hulk, I think it was from Saturday night's main event. Mm-hmm. Harley is all over that fucking ring, bouncing around for Hulk, and great. And I mean, he even like lays down and has Hulk stand over him and rip the shirt, like, and just basically, you know, like the kind of things you would think that wouldn't happen in a match with Hulk and Harley. And Harley was about as professional as you could be out there. That was the guy that was making the money, and we're going to make him look great. And fucking Harley made him look like $1 billion.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's... I feel like Harley gets talked about so much for being, you know, one of those old school guys, but I feel like having invented something like the diving headbutt, you know, something like that was also probably a little bit ahead of its time as well.
Yeah. He was a guy that other people criticized. Mm-hmm. Like, I just read something, and I remember it back when Gotch said it. Gotch was criticizing him Carl Gotch, criticizing him in an interview he did in like 1990.
Right.
You know, like that. You know, that these guys nowadays killing the business shit, right?
Right.
Can you imagine somebody was saying that about Harley?
Right. Exactly.
You know. Back in my day. Yeah, and yes, Harley wasn't a classic wrestler. Mm-hmm. He wasn't. He wasn't he didn't wrestle in college, high school, nothing like that. He was fighting people. Yeah. When other kids were in high school and college, he was like fighting people for money, and you know. So yeah, I had a thought and I lost it, but.
Well, another fun fact. Well, when you
imagine that,
there's so much. Like, I have like so much that I was just like amazed about. You know, going back and reading about his career. So in St. Louis, when St. Louis was essentially the Cadillac of wrestling, you know, the It Town for NWA territories, he was Sam Mushnick's biggest star. Yeah. And it's just like, imagine being the biggest star. Also, you know, with Sam Mushnick is like a really big deal at this point in time. So it's just like very interesting to me that this was part of, you know, his career.
Yeah.
And then, another fun fact here, really quickly, actually, is he was a part of the NOAH board of directors. Misawa respected him so much that he put him on the board of directors.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I got that. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And then also I was going back and I was watching the promo, the one with Ric Flair about the $25,000 bounty. And again, it goes back to the fact that people were watching this and thinking, oh man, like the heels are really going to go after, get Ric Flair and, you know, that sort of thing. So that
was great. That was in Mid-Atlantic, and it was, leading up to Flair, Flair versus Harley, Flair for the gold, I think they called it, and shit. Yeah, no, they put a bounty out, and so here comes Dick Slater and Bob Orton Jr. to try to collect double pile driver. It was all just great because I remember it. So, like going back and watching that the other night is something I remember when it aired, like on TV and Saturday morning, and I'm actually watching that, right? So it's really cool to go back and watch some things that you like vividly remember.
Sure, yeah.
Right? Like, 'cause there's a lot of memories that, you know, are stored in our brains, right? As a child that are just like, so like, just so many, right? It's like, unless you have a specific point like that you can dial in on, it's like, there's no way you can remember all that shit. But then something just brings me like back to, you know, that, and it was just like, I remembered all of it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's crazy.
He was like very methodical too, like, you know, with the way he delivered what he said.
Yes, he talked like that and he worked like that. You would never see Harley rushing anything. It was all easily digestible wrestling content when Harley Race was in the ring. So, yeah. All right. Love you, Harley. I'm not even trying to do this as a Harley Race tribute show because I can't do it justice. I want to sincere condolences to Joe Hennig. Joe was really close with Harley. He looked up to Harley as like a father figure because of the obvious relationship, that Harley and his grandfather had. And I know he's taken this hard. And Joe's a great guy. And
his public memorial service is being held Sunday.
Okay. So, all right. I think that's about it. But I just want to encourage everybody to go look up some Harley Race and spend a little time, going down a Harley Race rabbit hole.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you've never been down, if you're not familiar with him, there's just no way there could ever be another one like
exactly.
Harley. No. So, all right. That's enough from that one.
All right,
let's move on.
Let's go ahead and talk about some AEW news. There's actually a lot to talk about. First of all, congratulations to them. They sold out their TV debut on October 2nd, their October 2nd event in Washington, D.C. Last I heard, they sold over 9,000 tickets in 2 hours. I know that the arena seats 20,000 for basketball and about 18,000 for hockey, so I'm not entirely too sure how much it holds for wrestling, but those are some of the ranges of numbers that you can see there. Some other things to note is that they are also crowning their first women's champion on their TNT premiere, so that should be fun. The belt is to be unveiled on August 31st on their All Out show. And then last week we did have we had Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy here, and they did talk about Marco Stunt. Yeah. And so Marco Stunt is officially signed with AEW. Before I kind of dive into some other stuff that happened with Marco Stunt, just really quick, episode 2 has been announced. It's going to be in Boston. Episode 3 will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But really quick, let's talk about...
so they're going to do a different venue every week, and every week's going to be live, so it's not like, one live show and one tape show, nothing like that. That's expensive as fuck.
Right. But I know they've talked about how at least the hope is that it'll be easier on the guys since they're basically doing one show a week, only traveling to one town.
But one of the things is that, obviously I feel like this debut show definitely had to be sold out. Like, I had no doubts that the first one would be sold out. So, I don't know, are any surprises, or did you guys also expect that to happen considering?
Oh, I did. I did. And eventually I'm not going to say the buzz, because, the buzz is going to be there, but just, the buzz to where we got, every show's not gonna sell out in, first day. I mean, eventually it's gonna, level off a little bit. But no, I figured it would be another situation like this.
Sure, yeah. I don't
think it's even close to. I mean, they haven't had their first show yet. So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see once it does kind of taper off like that, where the sort of consistent point lies, if it's on the higher end of things. So that'll be interesting to see.
And so there was talk about how they would maybe do their shows from medium-sized venues, and then I read something that contradicted that maybe they're going to try to keep.
What do you think would be the right call? A mixture?
It depends. I like the look of the big arenas even if they're not completely sold. WWE makes it look just fine in a major arena with 8,000-10,000 people in it.
Sure.
Because even if it's not a major arena, let's say it's a smaller city, smaller town, etc., because these people maybe not always get the big promotions, having them come down here could be like a very easy ticket sale. There's nothing going on in this city. Let's go ahead and give wrestling some try, especially for some of the casual fans.
So there's smaller arenas that still look like big arenas on TV. Like the one for instance, the one I talk about that, I grew up going to, and the first match I saw in the Bayfront Center Arena, it was sold between 7,000 and 8,000 people capacity, which is not a big arena, right? But back at the time, it seemed like it, and it looked like it on TV. It looked like if it was packed, you couldn't really tell. It still looked like a major league event.
Of course, yeah.
And then there are some that could have the same capacity. That's just the way they're set up, and the way the buildings, the venue's laid out, like it looks like shit on TV.
Yeah.
You know, it just depends.
All right.
And I think they should be really like mindful of how a venue looks on TV. I don't think people put enough stock into that because, and I know sometimes I enjoy watching MLW's TV, but when they do it from Melrose Ballroom in New York, I think it looks like shit.
Right.
Just being honest with you.
Yeah.
And when they do it from Chicago, it looks great. Some of the venues look great, but like that Melrose Ballroom, that looks terrible on TV.
Well, for AEW, it was the Fighter Fest, right, where they did kind of like that
Looked
outdoor. That
great.
looked cool.
That looked
So good. And part of it was how they shot it too, and like where they had the cameras, and yeah. So yeah.
All right. But okay, so earlier I mentioned, Marco Stunt signing with AEW. Super awesome. Obviously, a lot of people very excited for him.
Yeah.
So we did have somebody on social media kind of go on a rant about this. His name is Gunnar Miller.
Yeah.
So apparently,
Bless his heart.
he called out AEW for signing Marco Stunt and actually said it was a slap in the face. He said that when he was a kid, that he grew up idolizing people like The Rock, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Goldberg. And then he basically said that the major promotions go out and sign this 5'2", 115-pound guy, and said that 60-year-old, and I quote, that 60-year-old me laughs at. He literally said that about Marco Stunt because of his size and his weight. And Nick Jackson did respond to this. He basically said, "Congrats, Marco Stunt, and you're way better than that Gunner guy."
Gunner guy.
Yeah.
Hey, look. I can understand when you've put a ton of work into something like he says he did, and I don't doubt that he did and has, and that's great. And when I read about this, I was like I wasn't familiar with the name, and so I kind of looked it up, and then I looked up a couple videos because I wanted to see like. Okay, this guy's, if he's going to be casting shade like this, and look, the variety is the spice of life. Like, there's different spot. Like, do you really want the Marco Stunt spot? Like, because
right.
I don't think that spot is going to be in the world title match.
Yeah.
Just being honest with you. But it's good to have, all different varieties and flavors on your show.
Yeah.
The problem with the guy, what's his name again?
Gunnar Miller.
Yeah. So he's not bad at all. He's just fine, and he's got a look that is just fine. It's just that it's about 1 million other people in the industry have that same look. Okay? And I heard the promos, and there's nothing they're good promos, just nothing that stands out as special.
Generic.
And yeah, it's just they're fine.
Right.
Okay, it's like the guy, would be just fine holding the championship of an independent promotion. Does that make sense to you?
Sure.
Right.
But it's like, man, Gunnar, hey, look. I get it. I get the frustration, but man, it's just that's a really bad look for one thing. Like, it's just like you're not. I guarantee you're not the only one that saw that and felt that way. But it's just not everyone cried about it in public, And sometimes we got to take a look at it in the mirror and go, what can I do to make myself stand out more? And what can I do to up my game in the ring and promos, or maybe change my look up because I look like about 1 million other people in the industry.
Right.
Like, that's the issue for me.
Yeah.
And
let's be aren't they?
Like some honesty with oneself goes a long way when it comes to something like that. So
But it's just interesting to me is that, obviously we've seen certain wrestlers that have gotten signed throughout the years, different promotions, and you think, oh man, that guy got signed. Oh, I thought that guy was actually better. Right, okay? But here's the thing, though, is that he could be mad about any of those guys, though. He could be mad at whoever is on that roster because maybe he thinks he deserves that spot more than that guy. But why specifically pick on Marco Stunt because of his size? That, to me, just shows that he doesn't have confidence within himself because Marco Stunt has everything going up against him. He's a smaller guy, etc., etc. You would think, like, maybe, obviously, Marco Stunt probably saw these same guys that he saw and thought, man, I might not have a shot ever. And look at him where he got. And now this guy's just essentially burying him because of his size. Like, that to me is kind of like, all right, dude, now you're just using this as an excuse for why you're not in a position like Marco Stunt.
But I mean, people have been using that argument for years, like, oh, he's not a believable wrestler because he's not big enough, Oh, I wouldn't buy him kicking anyone's ass. People have been using that argument against small guys for years and years and years in wrestling, and it's never held any weight.
And it holds weight if a guy's... It depends. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Some small guys shouldn't be in there because they don't have anything. They don't have any offense that is believable that can get a guy in trouble. So unless they're working with another guy their size, so I get it. But and like I was saying earlier, it's not. It's a different. It's not the spot that.
Right.
Like I said, it's not like Marco's not going to be the AEW champion ever.
It's
and I don't mean anything by that. Like.
But it's that 3-ring circus analogy. Wrestling's a 3-ring circus. There's the acrobats and there's the line tamer and all that stuff.
So Gunner, like go back and get a game plan, figure out what you got to do to get people's attention besides whining. And I'm sure you're not gonna when you hear this. If you do, you're not gonna like what I'm saying. But man, like. Yeah, either fix a problem or go find something else to do. Honestly.
Yeah.
But does this now leave a sour note to promoters? Obviously.
Yes,
seeing that
absolutely
and being like,
it does. Oh, yes,
when they Google
absolutely.
his name, this is going to be the first thing that comes up now.
Absolutely, because there's been conversations I've had with certain people. That we've talked about it. Like, it was a topic of conversation. People all rolling their eyes at that. And, some people even have, anyway, whatever. I don't even know the guy. I might have met him. Like, that's just it. I might have met him. Maybe. Yeah. No, he's just whining in public. He's just venting, and I get it. It's just like, and he was being 100% honest, and that's,
But sometimes there's no room for that kind of honesty
No,
on
there's
social
not.
media.
Sometimes it works against you.
Or there is, but then you just gotta, pay the consequences. It's just like when any idiot, like free speech or whatever, but there are consequences, like depending on what you say, social consequences.
Sure.
Right. So. Okay, well, moving on, totally opposite story.
Well, I spent way too much time talking about that.
No, but now we have a good story. So, well, I mean, not a good story, but I guess you can kind of say a good story. Okay, so as we know, in this past weekend, there was 2 major mass shootings, both in Dayton, Ohio, and El Paso, Texas. So very, sad, hard time right now for everybody. I guess you can say this is somewhat of a, obviously a heroic story, definitely. So Jeremy Ganga, who is an independent wrestler in the Ohio area, he actually worked at the Ned Pepper's Bar in Dayton, Ohio, where the shooting occurred. One of the shootings occurred, and it was noted that he actually stopped the shooter at the door before he could get inside. So,
who knows how many lives that guy saved?
Exactly.
Wow.
Total opposite story from the last time we just talked.
Yeah.
2 guys in the indie scene doing different things. I mean, obviously different scenarios, but you got me.
Wow. I don't want to go like I don't know who he is. Jeremy
Ganga.
Ganga.
Ganger.
Yeah, but I'm grateful for the guy. Like I'm not as grateful as the people that were in that bar. Good. Hey, thank you, Jeremy. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say, man. You're a hero, and you should be honored. And so right now I'm honoring you, man. Hell of a job.
So I know that according to the bar staff, they did say that he is going to be okay. I think he has a shrapnel-related injury. I'm not sure what that is.
It's like
little pieces of
metal and like that come out of a.
Okay.
It's not the bullet.
Okay.
I've never been hit with. I don't have any shrapnel in me, so I'm not an expert on it.
Right.
And I did see that on Twitter, Wrestling Travel did post that they're going to be giving him VIP passes to StarCast and AEW's All Out. So that's just a small little way to say thank you, and I think that's really cool and should be talked about. Okay, let's go ahead and move on then. Do you want to jump into Raw, or do we want to jump into the NXT Takeover preview?
The only thing on Raw I want to mention is the Goldberg Dolph thing.
What are your thoughts?
Goldberg got a good reaction coming out, right?
Yeah.
He did.
So, so that's a good sign for me. That means like this thing very well may work.
Sure.
As planned, as designed.
Yeah, and
there was a concern I had with people kind of maybe seeing through this a little bit.
Oh, I see.
And going, oh, they're just gonna have like, I'm just running through Dolph, and so he, can ride off into the sunset and not have to hang his hat on that fucking Saudi thing.
Right.
And that's what this is. But
sure.
But as long as people dig it.
Exactly.
Because it'll be really good as long as people dig it.
It seems like even if people do know that, it's not making it any less effective. And I mean, Dolph's gonna bump his ass off for Goldberg in there. So
good pick for an opponent in terms of Dolph.
Sure.
Yeah, because I mean, hell, when it was Goldberg and Kevin Owens at Mania, I mean, that was a hell of a match.
I would like to see Dolph win this.
I
think that would be a good gesture.
It would definitely be unexpected. I was thinking about that for sure.
Yeah. Since this is a work and everything, and one shouldn't have too big of an ego.
Sure.
Maybe it would be good to give back to the business, and leave Dolph better off than when he started that.
Yeah, because I think that character could get a lot of mileage out of that.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess nobody else wants to chime in on that one.
I'm just thinking
maybe because like the chances of that happening are slim
I'm just thinking that because the fans know what Goldberg can do. Go in, have this quick match. Do what he does best, and so I think that's kind of like what maybe the majority of the fans are expecting and maybe want. I don't know if maybe a lot of people, at least I haven't heard, or I don't know if people want to see Dolph Ziggler win. So that's why it was like a very interesting take for me because I didn't expect you to say that.
But I think that's what would get him the most heat. I think if Goldberg beats the hell out of him, goes in for a spear, and then Dolph just turns it into a small package at the last second, something like that, that character you would never ever hear the end of it. I think that could go a long way. I don't think that's what'll happen, but I think that would be cool.
Right, like in terms of moving the story forward and moving the process.
Yeah, because Dolph's the one that's going to be sticking around. Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's go ahead and talk about NXT Takeover in Toronto. Let's go over some of the matches, maybe some of the ones that you're looking forward to. Let's kick it off with Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano, 2 out of 3 falls for the NXT Championship.
Yeah, and not only that, but each fall is going to be a different type of match as well. First fall just straight up. Second fall street fight. If it goes to the third, Regal's choice. I think, it's the main event of TakeOver consistently steals really the whole weekend, so I don't think this will be any different.
Cole Gargano. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They've proven themselves in the past.
I don't know I can't add anything to plus, I was there for the TVs leading all up into this, so this actually, the more I'm thinking of all this, it's like kind of seems like old to me.
Oh, right.
That was a fucking month ago.
There was tape
Yeah.
So long ago.
Well, anything interesting that you maybe noticed while you were down at the
I know
about
some
any of these
things, and
guys?
I'm not saying.
Okay. All right. Well, then moving on, we also have the Street Profits versus Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish of the Undisputed Era for the NXT Tag Titles. Any thoughts on that?
Well, that'll be fun. I think they've had some chances on live events to work with each other and, have some matches out there, try some different things out, what works, what doesn't.
Right. I think specifically I'd love to see Kyle O'Reilly and Montez Ford, how they kind of bounce off of each other in there.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right. And then we also have Velveteen Dream versus Pete Dunne versus Roderick Strong for the NXT North American title.
Oh, yeah.
Thoughts?
No, I mean, just like, wow. I don't know how this, what are we calling this right now?
Preview.
Yeah, not the greatest, right?
Or maybe would you
because all it is you go like, hey, what do you think of this one? Oh, it's going to be great. Okay, next one, what do you think? Oh, it's going to be great. Oh, fuck, everybody.
Well, is there any
Hey,
of these
everybody,
guys?
sometimes it's really hard to make this sound like, you know.
Sure.
What am I trying to say?
Let's move on then.
Are you rooting for any of these guys, maybe in particular? Somebody you'd like to see, you know, get over because, you know, you're a fan of theirs or etc.?
I don't know. Like, let's Pete Dunne. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had such
I
a long
want to see
run.
Pete Dunne win that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. He's great.
Absolutely, yeah.
Fucking great. Pete Dunne's
he had
great.
such a good long run with the UK title that I'd love to see him with the North American belt for sure.
Okay. Shayna versus Mia for the women's title.
Oh yeah.
I'm wondering if this is when they're finally gonna take the title off of Shayna,
You think it's time?
Ooh.
because it's been a really really good reign, but each time you wonder. I don't know if Mia's gonna be that person though.
It might be time. I'm just not sure if it's time for Mia.
Right. Exactly.
Not that it won't be, but I'm not sure if now is the time.
Right. Just maybe not. Yeah.
How long has Shayna held the belt now? Do we have an estimate of time?
God, I want to say it's close. It might be close to a year, but I don't know.
She dropped it for a minute to Kari Sane and then got it back, right?
That's right. Yeah. Very briefly. Yeah.
Because I'm just like a fan of the long reign. So for me, like even though like you might think like, oh, it's time, I'm like, nah, keep it longer.
Yeah.
But you think it's time, keep going.
That's right.
You know, like hold
Yeah,
it a little bit longer, even if you think it's time.
That women's championship in NXT that means something.
Right.
There's some value to that championship.
Right.
Like not just, a prop to carry to the ring with you. Like the championship means something.
Yeah, there's still prestige there.
And they do, like, for the most part, like all the NXT titles do. They've done a great job of making the championship mean something.
Yeah, they're not really the ones to use that hot shot sort of title reign.
No.
All right, and lastly, Candice LeRae and Io Shirai in a singles match.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so they build that out from the cage match.
Right. Or Io turned on Candice afterwards.
Yeah, and I like Io's character work as a heel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny watching her at the at the NXT tapings and like even at the Performance Center, working on different things and trying to figure out what a heel Io would be.
Sure.
She was even like came out with different gear, like she was wearing like all black and it was
everything
completely
is completely
different.
I mean, music.
I think she just did that on her own. I don't think anyone told her to either.
Interesting.
Actually, I know she did.
Right.
I know for a fact she did. So, well, that would be really good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole card is looking.
It's nice to see, and they have a decent amount of ladies down there in NXT, right? Mm-hmm. So it's nice to see that you don't just have like one spot for the ladies. It's like it could.
And then having everybody
If
else
the ladies
thrown
are
in.
all killing it, maybe they can, 3 ladies matches and 2 men, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no set like, oh, this is the spot for the ladies, right?
Right, exactly. The fact that I love that there's a women's match that isn't for the title, that isn't about just one person's jealous than the other. Like it's a legitimate grudge match between girls that can beat the hell out of each other.
Right.
So I think they've done. So the reason why it's kind of got weird to me, like talking about this, is like I said, all this stuff. Like I was there for all the tapings, but it was so long ago in my head.
Right.
These days, like if like something was last week, it's like, oh my god, that was ages ago. Mm. So
You're like, so much has happened since
A
then.
lot.
Everything just moves so fast.
a lot. Yeah. So what else? Anything else on there?
That's it. We covered all of that.
Right.
It's pretty much all
I
we've
think
got.
is that everything?
Yeah.
What time is it, Jeff?
about-
What time is it around here, man?
Oh,
I think we're
wow.
good.
Hell yeah.
I think everyone that's listening and watching could take this, if the show was an hour, like we're going to give you 15 minutes back and you could use it to do something great with your day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look up some Harley Race matches.
So I appreciate everyone stopping by. This was, a shorter episode. Unfortunately, we had to talk about Harley's passing, and all that. But
I think
I hope you enjoyed it, everyone.
Good stuff out of it, yeah.
So, watch me. You can find me on social media. Twitter is @TheRealXPac. Instagram is just @RealXPac. Go ahead, you guys.
All right, guys. And then don't forget to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram @XPac12360. Also, don't forget to download us on Spotify, Anchor. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Search for us on your favorite platform. And then as for me, you guys can follow me @_Denise Salcedo. Also, August 17th and 18th, I will be at Expo Lucha in San Diego. So make sure to check that out. www.expolucha.com.
Oh, yeah. I'll be at Steel City Con in Pittsburgh this weekend. Friday and Saturday.
There you go.
Come find me.
Nice. You can find me online @TyMatthewsPMA.
All right.
I think that's it.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us right here from AfterBuzz TV Studios, North Hollywood.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Sean Waltman, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, thank you for tuning in to X-Pac 12360.